Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another movie review. This time, we're going to do things a little bit differently. Now, I saw the movie The Iron Claw, and we'll get into what I thought about the movie. But first, I want to dive deeper into the family that the movie was evolved around. So let's dive deeper into the Von Erich family. Now, the film focuses on the Von Erich family and their wrestling legacy. I grew up a big fan of wrestling. My sister was 10 years older than I was, and so she got me into wrestling. I enjoyed watching with her. But the time that I watched wrestling, I was born in 88, so I was watching the 90s. And so the Von Erich family, at least to my memory, I wasn't familiar with anybody in that family. I grew up watching The Rock, The Undertaker, Kane, characters just like that, Mick Foley, characters like that. So I wasn't too familiar with the Von Erich family. And so I knew that I was going to definitely go see this movie because I was such a big wrestling fan. And I was really kind of blown away how deep this story goes and how dark the story is at the same time. Now, the film is centered around the alleged Von Erich curse and how it impacted the family. We've all heard stories of parents that push their children too far in sports. Those of you that have kids that are involved in organized sports, you probably see the parents every time you're at a sporting event. And I really felt sad for some of the Von Erich brothers, and it seems they had passions outside of wrestling, but their father, it just as the story went on, it looked like everything he didn't get a chance to do with his life, he was hell bent and determined to make sure one of his sons was able to attain or achieve his dreams, not necessarily theirs. Now, their father, Fritz von Erich, was very demanding and cold, in my view, and he pushed his six boys to attain everything he could in himself in the wrestling world, as I stated. So I want to dive into, in detail, all six of the boys and the father. And I went online and I tried to find as much as I could, but I really pulled this from Wikipedia. So if some of this information is not completely accurate, because like I said, I don't necessarily have the information on the family because I wasn't a big fan of wrestling back then when they were wrestling at its really it seemed like its infancy of wrestling before it really got big, before Vince McMahon took over the WWE or WCW, whatever it was called back then, and took it to the level that it is now that we all know. But first, let's discuss Fritz von Erich, the father. He was born Jack Barton Addison in August of 1929 in Jewett, Texas. He took on the ring name Fritz von Erich, originally portraying a Nazi villain in the ring. And as you're a fan of wrestling, there's always this antagonist that's always, there's the good versus the bad guy versus the good guy. And he took on the role as the bad guy. And his move was the Iron Claw. And he basically would take his hands and just kind of put it on his opponents like that until they tapped out. That was his finishing move. Now, he held the AWA World Heavyweight Championship in the 1960s. He never won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, and this clearly tormented him and may shed light on why he was so demanding to push his sons to win the title, or at least to be in the ring for an opportunity to win the title. He wanted his boys to be at the highest level in the sport. He married wife Doris June 23rd, 1950, and they had six sons before getting a divorce in 1992. Fritz died of lung cancer in 1997. Now let's move on to the six boys. First, Jack Atkinson Jr. Now, this is a bit of a sad story. The firstborn and he was born in September of 1952. Unfortunately, he tragically died at the age of 6 after being electrocuted, and then he fell face first into a snow puddle and drowned. At only 6 years old, this is very tragic, right? The next boy is Kevin von Erich, and he was born May of 1957. He had the wrestling name, the Golden Warrior. He was the second oldest and the last surviving son. And that's key, surviving son. Just think about that. 6 boys, the last surviving son. And we'll tap onto that and we'll elaborate on that more. He married Pamela May in August of 1980, and they had 4 children. In May 2006, Kevin sold WCCW footage to Vince McMahon and WWE. And to my knowledge, the WCCW was the family owned and operated wrestling league that they had in Texas. At WrestleMania 25, Kevin and his family were inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. David Von Erich. He was born July 1958. He's the third son, and his stage name was the Yellow Rose of Texas. He fought for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship several times, but never had the opportunity to hoist that title. He never won. David died February 1984. Reports stated that the cause of death was acute enteritis. But wrestler Ric Flair, wrote in his documentary To Be the Man that David died of an overdose. Fellow wrestler known as Bruiser Body found David's body allegedly and disposed of the narcotics, flushing them down the drain in the toilet before the police arrived. The fourth son, Kerry Von Erich. Kerry was born in 1960. He was known as the modern day warrior and the Texas Tornado. Kerry was best known out of all the boys in the family, and maybe even the father. Kerry won the NWA World Championship title from Ric Flair, at the David Von Erich's Memorial Parade of Champions. Now, this was a tribute event for his late brother. Kerry also died, and he died of a gunshot wound, shooting himself through the heart in 1993. Wrestler Bret Hart states in his autobiography, Hitman, My Real Life in the Cartoon World of Wrestling, that Kerry told him months prior about his plans of suicide. So he is clearly a man that was dealing through a lot. I believe reports say that he was going through a divorce as well. And so there was a lot on his mind, and it just looks like he wanted to be with his late brothers. The fifth son, Mike Von Erich, he was born in 1964. He was known as Inspirational Warrior. It's been said that Mike had no interest in being in the ring full time, and he wanted to be a cameraman. And it sounds like his brother kind of forced or pushed him in the ring after his late brother's death. He injured his shoulder in the ring and had surgery, leading to toxic shock syndrome. He took a fatal dose of tranquilizers in 1987 and died. And the youngest boy, Chris Von Erich, is born in 1969. He did not have the same success in the ring as his brothers. And Chris became depressed and frustrated, and he shot himself in the head in 1991. So it's a very sad story of this family, but this family's legacy still lives on and is widely known in the wrestling world. Now, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of a backstory to the family. Now, let's get into the movie review. The movie is rated R, a runtime of 2 hours and 12 minutes. It's starring Zac Efron as Kevin Von Erich, and most are familiar with Efron in High School Musical and 17 Again. His highest grossing film is Dr. Seuss The Lorax. I believe that, or I thought that Efron did an excellent job portraying Kevin Von Erich. And the work he must have put in to get in physical shape for the role, he deserves an award for that alone. I also think he did a great job acting. He was emotional. His physical ability in the ring, it looked very natural. It looked like he took a lot of time and dedicated a lot in order to really do this story and do the character justice, do the family justice as well, and portraying their son in this film. It was directed by Sean Durkin. And as I said before, I grew up watching wrestling, but I wasn't familiar with this family. But I wish I knew more about the family and their accomplishments as I was watching wrestling as a young age. I enjoyed the film, although it was very dark in my eyes, and the alleged family curse and their demanding father made me feel for the six sons. Because, like as I stated, it seems like not everybody really wanted to get into the ring. That wasn't necessarily their passion and their love. That was their fathers. Now, some of them really did take it on and really wanted to be world champions. But you have to imagine some of the boys didn't really share the same desire and love for wrestling as their father and the other sons. Although I said I really enjoyed this film, I thought Zac Efron did an excellent job. I don't think it's necessarily a movie that you have to spend money in to go see in theaters. I think this is another movie, again, you can wait for it to come on, whether it's Netflix, um, Disney Plus, whatever the case may be, wherever you watch your movies on streaming platforms, your favorite streaming platform. I think you can just wait for the film to come out on streaming platforms and save yourself a little bit of money. But if you're a big wrestling fan and you enjoy these type of movies, then definitely by all means go and see it. I think you'll enjoy it. But I definitely don't think this is a movie that you want to take young ones to go see, or it's not really a date night movie. So just keep that in mind. That's just my 2 cents. I hope you enjoyed this movie review. It's a little bit different. It gave you a little bit of a backstory rather than just going straight into what I thought of the film. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification as I'll be putting out more movie reviews this weekend. I plan to see a couple movies that are coming out this weekend and some that have already been out that I didn't get a chance to see quite yet. So don't miss out. I have the AMC A-List Pass, so I see 3 movies minimum per week. I want to know what you think. If you thought my review, if you enjoyed the review, even if you didn't enjoy the review, if you like it or if you don't like it, just let me know. I can improve on it. Or if you just want to dog me or just talk junk, just be careful because I bite back. But drop something in the comment. Let me know. Let's engage. That's the whole point of this, right? I don't want to just talk to myself and just have you guys watching videos and not, engaging with me, and let me know what you thought of the film yourself or what you thought of my review. So definitely tap in with a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, please check out my other playlists, my other videos, most specifically All in Society and Friends. That's where I interview experts in diverse and various industries. I want to hear their stories. I want to hear their experiences because we all can learn from each other. All right, I hope you enjoyed this review. And until next time, have a wonderful evening and enjoy the movie.